Welcome back. Today we are going to talk about the Oracle DML queries. This query is actually divided into four subcategories that we want to discuss in different classes. The queries consist of several group operations, starting with the unary relational operations. These are the most basic but most important operations that we will use in every query. Select from and where. While in this class, this is what we are going to focus today, and we use these operations on one single table. After that, we will look into how do we work on more than one tables. It can be two tables, three tables, or even more. So to talk about that, we need to discuss about the Cartesian product first, and then we will go into probably the most important topic, the join operation, to see how can we put two or more tables together with a meaningful way. As long as your database has more than one table, which means if your database has two or more tables, you will definitely need the join operation. After that, we will look into set theory operations, including union, intersection, as well as the minus. And finally, we will look into the grouping operations to see how can we group things based on certain attributes and find meaningful information out of it. So again, today we are going to focus on the most basic operations. To give yourself a database to work on, you will need to download the DML example.sql. You should have done this a long time ago. And while we execute the code, which means that we go into the Oracle Connect system, password is password. And once we come in here, we're going to execute a code. So don't forget about put the at in front of it, indicating you want to execute some code, and then put a slash temp, which is the folder. I put the DML example.sql code. So once I do that, you will go do all the things and then finding the codes, changing all the tuples, make the foreign keys, connects everything. So now I do have those informations are available. And once we go into that, we are actually the whole database with these informations are stored in your Oracle, and therefore we can start doing some queries out of it. The most basic things, like I mentioned, is select from and where. And therefore, let's take a look at the first two important operations. The main purpose of SQL is for query the database. The most important statement or query is the select query. The general syntax is like this: select column list. So what are the attributes you are interested in? You can put one column, you can put two attributes, you can put whatever number of attributes or the columns that you are interested over here. You need to name those things and then specify what table that you are interested in. And therefore, when you are doing that, so for example, if we look into select first name, last name, so you can see I put two attributes over here from the employee, and you will be able to see that we can get a table looks like this, give you the first name and last name. Of course, if you don't trust me, then we can totally see that happened in the code over here. So you can see I can do copy and paste, go into Oracle, select first name, last name from employee over here. You, of course, can also write the text file and then execute the code, just like while we are doing the DML example. So for this kind of queries, I personally more prefer to directly do over here as long as they are not very complicated. So when we do see the select first name and last name from the employee, what you can see is that you can list it out all the employees with their first name and last name. And that's what we will be able to do. We can do a little bit more things over here, saying that instead of, okay, select, sorry. So let me restart it. So if we select first name and salary from employee, So you can see that I want to get their first name as well as the salaries that they are made, and then we will be able to retrieve those informations over here as well. That's very, very flexible, and I encourage you guys to do some practice. Try to look into the table and then see what are you interested in, and you can generate several queries, simple queries out of it like this way. So you may found this very familiar because while we before we even introduce this one, I talked to you guys about the select star from whatever tables you are interested in. So we say department. Of course, when we go to execute that, it will show every single thing that you have seen in the department. And therefore, you can see that we can use star in the place of the column list, and then everything will be showed. So this is something that we can easily test it out. So select star from department, which is the one I just did. And of course, you can do select star from employee. And that will be able to give you all kinds of information that you are interested in. So select and from are the most important query languages. However, the where condition, which is the if statement, is something also always comes with the select and from. And therefore, what we call the select, from, where are the three most important query languages that you would ever need to know in Oracle. So you may again find out that where sounds familiar. Because you already learned about that. Previously, when we tried to do the insert, delete, and modify the tables, we actually talk about the where conditions and where conditions in both of the update as well as the delete. Remember that you can update someone's salary, however, you need to provide their social security number. How do we do that? We use the where conditions over here. This again is I give you an if statement plus a for loop that will go through every single tuple of the table that you are looking at. As long as they satisfy the condition, they will do the operations you ask for. The same thing for the delete operation. And therefore, take a look at this one. Now you can see that if I want to find out a person's first name, last name, as well as the salary from the employee table, and now I add a condition, say where salary greater than 30,000. And therefore, you can see that if I copy and paste this code over here, we will be able to see there are 4 employees that have that satisfy the condition. Of course, we totally have 8 employees. That means 4 of them did not pass the salary greater than 30,000 condition, and therefore we only have 4 employees listed over here. You can compare that with the tables that we see over here. So if you looked into the employee, you can see that we have this employee, this employee, this employee, and that employee passed the salary greater than 30,000. The very first employee is making exactly 30,000, and therefore, because the conditions that we put is greater than 30,000, and it will not pass the condition. Of course, if now we change that a little bit, so instead of greater, we put a greater equal over here. And as long as I put a semicolon in back of it and then hit enter, you can see now we have 5 employees. So you can see this is the difference with that equal sign or not. And therefore, we will be able to do a lot of operations. Again, I encourage you to pause the video, play with it. It's actually very interesting to work on the tables. Assuming you're coming back, now you can see that we would be able to do a lot of different things. This is the examples that we have just seen. We will be able to put some more specific conditions under the where condition. So you can see that the where salary less or equal to 50,000 and salary greater or equal to 25,000. So we can set some and or operations, just like you have learned in your programming classes. So you can do a lot of different things over here inside of this operation. So you can see that if I'm trying to highlight those things and then come into the Oracle And as long as I put a semicolon and hit enter, it will be able to go through all the operations I'm asking it to do. You can change that notation into between and reserved word as well. Personally, I prefer the first one because it's more like writing a program and you don't need to remember any other additional reserved words over there. So you can see this is something that we will be able to do. And in database, order does not matter. I have repeated that many times in the database class. However, in human world, sometimes order do make sense because you want to see the salary from ascending order or descending order, those kind of things. And therefore, to generate the output, we can actually specify that. So if we look into here, you see we have a select from and where are the three things that we already see. We can add one more condition called order by. So whatever that is going to be put over there, it will sort based on the column that are given. So you can see that we can select from select first name, last name, and salary from employee where salary greater than 30,000. So there's no equal, and therefore we will be able to get 4 employees. Now I add one more conditions over here saying order by. So if we go to the Oracle, you can see that they are sorted by the ascending order. And therefore, we have 4 persons passing that. The salaries are going to go from 38, 40, 43, and 55. So compare with the previous results, you can see that when we get in this one without the order by, the order is kind of follow the order that we inserted. And now when we put the order by, we can get them sorted. There's another things that you can see is that we will be able to add one more reserved word called DESC. So when we add that, it will sort by the descending order. So you can see this is not a very difficult class that we want to talk today, but I really want you guys to set up a good foundation. Play with it. Try several select from and where operations. Order by is kind of optional. It's nice to know about it. It's not really giving you any additional powers in the queries. Therefore, to summarize the class for today, I want you guys to have some practice. And you always know the practice is very important. So I'm going to give you an assignment. In Oracle, write the queries for the following 2 questions. And you can see those questions are in human language format. How do you translate those things into Oracle code is the assignment I want you guys to do. So first one is find out the name of the employees and their salaries who work in department number 5. So you can see that this is directly give you a department number 5, and then you just need to use that as a condition to find the employee as well as the salaries information. The second query is about find out the social security of the employees who works on any project that spend more than 20 hours. So of course, this is the one that you need to look into the works on table, find a way to show the information that I need you to do. If you understand these things correctly, it's probably going to take you about 5 minutes to generate the assignment output. So what I want you guys to submit is your screenshot, including the code as well as the result table in Oracle for both queries. Very straightforward. Make sure you have some good practice about this one. Because in our next class, things is going to be much more difficult. That will be all for the class today.